So I'll give you a quick introduction to Australian Rare Earths, or also known as AR3. We are developing an exploration and development portfolio of energy transition metals, and as just said, currently that's rare earths and uranium. Our flagship project is the Copper Rare Earth Project in South Australia. And why this is really exciting to us is that if you think about rare earths, they really sit at the crossroads of two megatrends of our time: geopolitics and decarbonisation. Think about decarbonisation. As the world looks to decarbonise, the demand for rare earth metals is going to be well supported for decades to come as they go into electric vehicles, wind turbines, and defence applications. You can think about geopolitical tension that hangs over the industry, with China essentially monopolising the processing of rare earth metals. You're going to, I guess, see a continued growth in that security and sustainability challenges with that supply. So as we look to build a sustainable Western supply of rare earths, and in particular for heavy rare earths, I don't think the market quite understands that the scarcity around heavy rare earths is something that is going to be challenged moving forward. So that's really where AR3 is really well placed to capitalise. We believe our Copper Rare Earth Project has a pathway to be the first ionic clay project into production here in Australia. At Copper we have identified a significant resource. We've got 186 million tonnes at just over 700 ppm TREO. We've got an exploration target that's 340 million tonnes to 3.1 billion tonnes. And the really interesting thing is that 186 million tonne resource currently sits on less than 2% of our total prospective tenure. We have over 7,000 square kilometres of prospective tenure in the southeast of South Australia, so the sheer size and opportunity of resource growth is significant. As we continue to drill out the resource, we've really looked at focusing on identifying more shallow, high-grade subset of the resource. Given the amount of time we've got, it's really the focus is on creating value. So looking at where that higher value mineralisation is and building that into our development plans. If we think about some exciting, more recent news, we've done a substantial update to our flow sheet recently, and we've now set a pathway to bring the project into production through a heap leach and rapid rehabilitation strategy. So what that is going to bring for us is significantly lower capital and operating costs when compared to a tank leach approach. It's going to provide agility and scalability for us. The modular design and the agile approach will allow us to ramp up production over time across the province, and it will also allow us, again, focusing on those higher grade subsets of the resource. The changing of approach also comes with significant environmental benefits. It will have much lower water consumption, significantly lower power consumption, and it will also enable us to rapidly rehabilitate the landscapes and hand it back to the farmers due to the nature of the clays after they've been processed. So lots of positive aspects to the change. So at Copper, we really do believe we're well positioned to capitalise on the need for, in particular, the strategic heavy rare earths as we move forward. And then if we look at the broader energy transition landscape, as just mentioned, we've expanded the exploration portfolio to include the Overland Uranium Project. This gives us 3,000 square kilometres in a highly prospective, potentially new uranium province in the Murray Basin of South Australia. We believe that this new tenure has the potential for sedimentary hosted deposit, which will be in situ recoverable. And if you think about the two main ISR producing mines here in Australia. They're both in South Australia in those settings, with the Boss Energy's Honeymoon mine just going back into production earlier this year. We're really well funded. We've got over $9 million in cash in March, and this puts us in a really strong position to advance all of our projects in a meaningful way to create more value and unlock value. So AR3 is a compelling investment opportunity. We've got a significant rare earth project that can be the first ionic clay project into production here in Australia. We're expanding into uranium with the opportunities ahead of us there. Really well funded to make progress, and shapes us well to capitalise on the energy transition era that is amongst us. Thank you.
Thanks for turning up, ladies and gentlemen. Once upon a time, there was a young man who came to Australia in 1988, and he finished all his studies. He worked for a company called Western Mining Corporation. His job was to draw small boxes on maps and explain to Western Mining that's where we should go and drill for gold. And I had great training during that job, because that was me, and it worked out. And during that time, they taught us not to ever get into bulk commodities. So bulk commodities include things like high purity alumina. That includes coal, includes iron ore, includes rare earths. And that's because if you're in that space, one of four things has to be true. You either have to have the biggest deposit, you either have to have the highest grade, or you have to be one of the first to market. And let's not beat about bush. Lithium is a bulk commodity, we're almost drowning in it. But Pilgrim Minerals has actually managed to sail through it because it's got established client relationships. Or fourth, you have to be one of the lowest cost producers. And so I took all that on board. They also told us not to go and look in Pilbara for large gold deposits. And of course, De Grey is a prime example to do what I was doing in that particular case. So for many years, I'd ordered along as a consultant, drawing boxes on maps for managing directors and thinking to myself, my God, I can do a job just as bad as those guys. And so eventually we started our own company. And we looked for world-class deposits. It's not worth getting out of bed for anything less than world-class deposit. You need to be a De Grey. You need to be in Azure, you need to be a Chalice, standing the last few months. You need to get to $1 billion market cap without even turning a solid earth. Anything else is not worth your time as an investor, and it's not worth our time as developers. So we started Impact, and we always went all over the world with various things, and we looked at a lot of eclectic projects over that time. So on the bell curve of the normal distribution of deposits, we're always interested in things that are right out there on the right-hand side. Not just 2 or 3 standard deviations to the mean, but 5 or 6. And they're very rare, very few and far between. And so, through a long history of events, one day we came across a guy on LinkedIn. And as it turned out, that guy on LinkedIn had a world-class deposit. So we didn't find it ourselves, but we were farming into the Lake Hope High Purity Alumina project, located about 500 kilometres east of Perth. And I'll talk about what high purity alumina is, but the most important things to work out how much it's worth. And so the top 2 metres of salt lake, which is going to be very easy to mine, very easy to process, in a remote area of WA where we already have basically environmental clearance and entitlement clearance, it's something in the order of $20 billion US worth of high purity alumina is waiting to go up. And if you look at some of our presentations, you'll see that it costs a total of 60,000 Australian dollars to actually serve out and do the assay, because we just use the rubber hammer and a plastic tube, and down we go, there it is. It is the most amazing deposit I've ever seen. And when I did see it, I thought to myself, I better have a bit of a no crap moment. This is a bulk commodity. All of these things that I've just been taught shouldn't be true. But the thing that I saw immediately was this was going to be a very low cost producer. And so in November we put out a scoping study. We believe we can produce HPA for a cost of about $4,000 US a tonne. And to put that into perspective, we believe that our nearest competitor, which is the very successful Alpha HPA, A4M, been used massively recently for government loans they got to build their HPA plant in Gladstone, $1 billion market cap. We believe that we can undercut any other producer globally by at least 30 to 50% because of the unique nature of this flame deposit that we have. Just going to use a digger, dig it up, stockpile it, and truck it offside, go to Perth, build the plant, and then create a market for the products that we have. So, almost come full circle, and it's been a story that I knew was going to be a slow burn when we took off. And that slow burn started in March last year. We're now 14 months into the process. We've literally caught everybody else up who's in the space, apart from HPA, after HPA. And that's finally been reflected in our share price. We've just hit record market cap. We've got a lot more shares in issue than we listed. But we're worth more than we ever have been. We've doubled in the last month because the story is finally getting out there that Impact Minerals might actually have a world-class deposit on its hands. And you get to go on board right now for the first 2 funds. Thanks for listening.
Good evening, everybody. It's pretty tough to be here just at the glassy-eyed segment of the evening, especially looking at this sea of pizza. There was a long time when I was on 2 diets, so I just simply couldn't get enough food on one, and then I had to join Weight Watchers. It was an emergency. I said, "Quick, can you send somebody around?" I said, "Yeah, we've got lots of them." Until they kicked me out, which was a decision I accepted with huge grace, because Grace got kicked out too. Anyway, moving on to Western Yilgarn, I just thought I'd wake you up a little bit. We're West Australian based, and the Ida Homes Junction project, that's a massive PowerPoint, isn't it? The Ida Homes Junction project is something that we've created in the 2 years since we've floated the company, so we're 2 years old this month. I'm sorry that I don't have a Novo barrel girl, and congratulations to the Novo people for bringing someone along, because I really wish I'd brought someone to stand here with me. But later on, you are following my mantra of always being the dumbest bugger in the room for insurance. I brought the smartest bloke in the room, which is Bo Nichols, our geologist, and he'll be able to answer any technical questions later. But let's talk about where this has come from. We started off with 134 kilometres, square kilometres of country on the southwest of Leinster, which is a very well-known nickel province on the Wahroonga Shear. It hosts places like Mount Keith, Leinster, Cosmos, and in addition to, everyone's probably heard of the Liontown Kathleen Valley lithium deposit, and further to the south of us on the Ida Fault that runs off the Wahroonga Shear. We've got companies like Delta Lithium, etc., who are proclaiming the area as a lithium superhighway, which it may well be, but guess what? It's polymetallic. We started looking with 134 square kilometres, and because over the millennia the country has just been brought in and brought out by floodwaters over millions of years, and that's called transported cover, folks. We have to get down below that to find out what's there, and we've used an extensive auger geochemistry program. So we've drilled down several metres at a time, about 4,000 times so far, and completed some auger geochemistry on the core leases, and we're convinced that we've got something that's well worth looking at there. So we've got 24 targets we're prosecuting at the moment inside the original leases, which have now been expanded out to have another 280 odd square kilometres added to them. We've got 477 square kilometres there. But there's a couple of aspects to this that are important. That area has never been explored by any person. We are the pioneering explorers in the area. That's really important. So we have to start from first principles. The second thing is that when I was trying to grab more land, I found someone who gazumped me on several square kilometres, about 80 square kilometres, and I rang him up and I said, "What was your attraction to the place?" And a geologist by the name of Peter Walker, who was a very, very high credentials, long-established geologist with Rio Tinto exploration and other areas, and a closet geochemist, had been exploring the Holmes Dyke. And after we thought, wonder what the hell that is, we went back and had a look and found serendipitously, and something that will make you feel very good and warm about Western Yilgarn, is that inadvertently we actually own the intersection of where the Ida fault, this is almost a religious experience, Ida fault is crossed by a Holmes Guy. So Ida Holmes Junction is our religious experience, and you can check this on our website. If you go and have a look at our presentation, and I haven't even told you what we're looking for yet, so Gary, just stretch your clock a little bit, but I'll be gone shortly. Nickel, copper, platinum group elements, and we've got lithium pegmatites. With the Holmes Dyke magmatic event is the same magmatic event that BHP are looking for. It's one of the reasons they bought Oz Minerals for the West Musgrave project they've got out there, the Babel Nebo project. We've got the same magma. Okay, so Peter Walker has very, very cleverly looked at what's happening out there, and the Ida fault smashes through the Holmes Dyke, so we've got the cross, we can do that again. We've got three discrete areas there for to look at. We've got the Holmes Dyke, we've got the Ida fault, and we've got the mishmash that's been bar mixed up, where it's all intersected with itself. 24 targets, geochemistry generated. We haven't looked into the new areas yet as far as results go, although we have just completed all the geochemistry campaign, and today we've done an announcement announcing an airborne electromagnetic, Gary's trying to make me talk too quickly, campaign, where we're going to look out for red blobs. That's a technical term, and if there are no red blobs, we've still got the fallback to look at without all the geochemistry. So we're sending RC and AC drilling contractor out in the next month to 6 to 8 weeks. We're cashed up to do that, minute to go. We're cashed up to do that. We've just done a capital raising, and we probably will go out to the market. I mean, what Explorer doesn't. We're a very tightly held company. We've got less than 100 million shares on issue. We're far too cheap, and I encourage your engagement on that front on an extremely illiquid market, and we've got everything to show everyone why they should be investing, but in the last 12 seconds I've got, I'm just not going to be able to do a vigorous enough mating dance. So please go and have a look at our website, and I'd like to thank you very much for your attention this evening. Thank you.
We're a bit of a under the radar story. Even though this is our home state, we're a proud New South Wales based exploration company. So we don't explore in any other jurisdictions, and we very much made this our home. And as just mentioned, we see a really bright future not only in our projects but in the state of exploration that's occurring in New South Wales. But I thought I'd probably give this pitch along the lines of a great investor that we often follow when Tom Nye, who's the other founder here today, make our investments decisions, which is along the lines of Rick Rule. So I'll just I'll outline his classic 5 sort of top things that he looks for in junior explorers, and then I'll pitch us to why Legacy, we really think we meet those criteria. So he talks about identifying top management teams will be early to discoveries. The second, corporately, can they attract funding for their ideas, and are they going to be good stewards of capital? Are they ethical, motivated, and can they build social license? Fourth, look at their experience and the deposit style, project stage and the region they're operating in. And the last is, do they know what a mine looks like? So for Legacy Minerals, we've got 7 projects. It doesn't list the portfolio because we're one of these projects companies that we've got a lot of darts, dartboards, we're throwing a lot of shots on goal, and we've got a lot of horses in the race. We've got a predominant focus on porphyry epithermal systems, so that's copper gold dominant. And our sort of 3 key flagship projects are Ballura, Black Range, and Drake. As mentioned, we've got a partnership with Newmont out at Ballura, and we signed that deal with them last year. And to give some perspective on what Newmont are looking for in a project, they're looking for a tier 1 epithermal gold system, 500,000 ounces per annum, 10-year mine life. So they've only done 2 deals in Australia in the last 3 years. One was with us, and the other one was with Newcrest. So it just sort of demonstrates if you want to do your DD on a company, like invest with the people that know what they're doing. So in terms of the top tier management teams, I can't say that Tom and I have been around for all that long. We founded the company back in 2017, but we've been very patient in picking up ground. All of our projects, bar our most recent, we've pegged for $0. So to pick up a project for $0 and within 3 years to attract the world's biggest gold miner onto your ground, thinking that there's a tier 1 gold system there, this really gives credence to the geological potential of the systems. I guess our capability in terms of identifying these early stage projects. Secondly, I can they attract funding for their ideas. We've had a great track record since we IPO'd 2 years ago at 20 cents. I think we've roughly trading around 16, 17 cents, so we've held our own in the stock market. But importantly, beyond Yilgarn, we've also done a great deal with S2 Resources, so that's serious. So Mark Bennett, Mark Creasy's major shareholders. That was for a project that we picked up November last year, sat free for 30 years, Rio Tinto last held it, and within the space of 2 months of acquiring that, we've struck a deal with Mark Bennett and S2 to drill that project this year. So that sort of sits within 4 projects that we're aggressively drilling this year, and there's not many juniors that can say that we're actively drilling now on a project at Black Range. We're actively drilling with Yilgarn in a couple of weeks at Allura. We'll be drilling with Mark Bennett. Hopefully in a couple of months as well. And then we've also got another partnership with FAI, another fish oil services company that's doing as well. So we talk about are they motivated and can they build social license? As founders, you've got a lot of skin in the game. We're going to start a company. It's a lot of your money, your mum's and dad's money, and that's translated into the company that we are today and the way that we operate. So very lean in our operations. And social licence is extremely important. We're very much stuck to New South Wales, and we're on the ground in areas that have had often no exploration for over 30 years. So when you're the first company to be in places that haven't had any exploration, not only demonstrates the upside, but there's the capability of the team to get the boots on the ground. And I think that's really important, particularly when we're looking at geological systems that previously, until we had Allura and then that joint venture with Yilgarn, that we were in the long age rocks and people hadn't considered them to be prospective. And that's been our fantastic opportunity to peg 3 of these district scale systems all under our control. When Rick Will talks about their experience of the deposit style and to the known region they're operating in, even though we're fairly young to the space, we've got a fantastic board. We've got Doug Menzies, a well-known expert, but a real key strategy in partnering with a company like Newmont at a very early stage in a project is that we're very much leveraging their global expertise in developing these systems. And as we've got 2 of these other systems, we're able to utilise that knowledge that we've got. We're not only tapping into Newmont's expertise, but with the acquisition of Newcrest and their Cadia teams, as well as their other family teams, we've been leveraged to that exposure as well. Lastly, do they know what a mine looks like? Tom and I come from mining backgrounds. I'm a coal miner and an engineer, and Tom's a geologist. So we know what mines look like. Tom likes the geology. I like to look at what the infrastructure is, what the region looks like. Is it something that we can get up and running? And again, that validation that we get from other companies also enforcing our exploration approach. Sort of wrap it up. So we've got a real clear strategy to deliver for shareholders. We've got 3 million cash in bank at the moment, so we're well funded. So it's been a great year for us and for a lot of people looking to invest on market as well. We've got $25 million in joint venture funding. Importantly, on 2 of those projects with S2 and with Yilgarn, we're financed through to commercial operations under 20% ownership. So that's a non-dilution. There's no auction period. There's no song curve there for us in 2 of those projects to see some pretty significant outcome for shareholders. And to talk about the ambitions that we have in our company, out of those 3 epithermal systems, the ones we've got to deal with Yilgarn is our smallest. So if once we own 100% of our shareholders, that's significant upside, we want to change with our portfolios. And with that, I'd like to wrap up. We'll be at the RAU booth. We've got some rocks, some drill core. So welcome to everyone to come in to have a look and have a chat to present. Thank you.
And good evening, everyone. I guess the name like Orpheus Uranium, there's not too much conjecture about what our business is. I've been in the uranium business on and off now for 45 years or so. Some of my co-speakers perhaps weren't born back then, but that's my problem, not theirs, I suspect. I first got into uranium working in the Beverley project in the early 1980s. Now, Beverley is currently operated by Heathcote, as many of you know. We were up there doing some plant work in 1980, 81 or thereabouts, and I think Heathcote probably have slightly better facilities than we did at the time. If we had had to go to the toilet, the urge came across us, we would have to pick up a shovel and go to a tree in what was then known as 4 Mile Creek, now known as part of the Beverley 4 Mile Uranium deposit. So I guess we were cracking on the Beverley 4 Mile deposit. I've not had my backside checked for radioactive exposure, but perhaps I don't want to know. Back to Orpheus. Why uranium? Well, pardon the pun, it is a hot commodity right now, and I suspect it will remain fairly hot and fairly interesting for quite some time. South Australia and the Northern Territory, they're the places in Australia where if you find uranium, you can actually get it into production. So, due respect to the people finding uranium and exploring for uranium in Western Australia, Queensland, don't worry about it here in New South Wales. In South Australia and in the Northern Territory, if you find some uranium, and can be economic, it can be brought into production in South Australia and the NT. We're going to be drilling in the Frome embayment, at a place called Yilgarn, in the next few weeks. It's about an 8 lines away from Boss's gold stem deposit, which is gradually building up into a fairly interesting resource. Now, what we are doing is drilling in an area where we know we will intersect uranium. This was an area where a reaver, back in about a dozen odd years ago, spent about $11–12 million drilling for uranium just before Fukushima happened and the uranium industry went belly up. So we know, because we're going back on the ground where they have been, where they operated, where they made discoveries, that we will intersect uranium. I don't know how, what rate we're going to intersect and how, and the width of the intersections, but we know we will intersect that. And that program is going to start in the next few weeks. So anybody wanting to invest in a company that's got upside like that in the next few weeks, time on board, fellas. Shortly after that, perhaps around October-ish, we're going to be drilling another project called, we're calling Radium Hill South. Now once again, the work we are going to do is been given a hell of a leg up by previous explorers. In this case, an outfit called Mega Hindmarch drilled there around the same time as the Regal were drilling at Aruba. And again, they found uranium in 5 prospects on this tenement. And we're going to be following up on that. Again, pretty confident we are going to intersect uranium in at least a couple of those prospects, because we're drilling where others have drilled successfully in the past. Not a bad start, and I hope that some of you people can see the merit of that sort of argument and pop into our share register. Now, to do all this, you need money. Right now, we've got just under $5 million in the bank. Our quarter report was out last week, and we've got about, give or take a bit, 1.3 in shares in listed companies. We're not cashed up like our friends at Novo, but we've got enough to do what we need to do without the slides in front of us, and we will be able to get through in the next for the rest of the year and into next year, do those drilling programs I just mentioned without having to go to the market. So if you're looking for a discounted placement, fellas, not going to happen anytime soon. Thanks very much.
Thank you, everyone. So Bastion, we listed the company a couple of years ago on the ASX. We transferred the national year in 2023. Done some rare earth projects in Sweden. Recently, we announced to the market that we had doubled the footprint of those assets based on some very good results from the first bit of groundwork that was conducted on the first lot of tenements. Second lot of tenements, as I say, doubled the ground and square area to about 300 square kilometres. We're on the ground there next week. Our guys are out there looking for some trend to continue on some of the news we released a couple of months ago. We've just recently been out on the ground on our Western Australian project, which is up in the Volta corridor, asset called Morris that we picked up before Christmas. The results have come through ALS the last couple of days, so there was some there were some releases to the market in the next few days in relation to that, similarly to what we're doing there in Sweden. So, Bastion, I guess, it's we're in that focus for decarbonisation, like a lot of other companies that are probably in this room. And you may ask, what does BMO stand for? Well, in our opinion, it's probably the best money opportunity we've probably seen here tonight, given the market cap is significantly lower than where we used to be company. So keep your mind out for that. Look for our releases. They'll be out in the next few days. There's some good information coming through there. Hopefully no one from the ASX is listening to this, but best money opportunity you'll see out there. Thank you.